Good evening, fellow chess players. Um, it seems that most of you is, uh, especially those located not in the United States, like me, I'm here in the Philippines. You have been sleepless for a couple of days following the U.S. Chess Championship 2017. And now we thought that yesterday would be the last day that we would be lacking in sleep, but no. The U.S. Chess Championship will be going into a playoff. It is between Wesley versus Alexander Onischuk, who is both at 7 points, and it should have been a three-way tie or three-way playoff had Barushan Akubian able to draw against Hikaru Nakamura. And Wesley could have fought for an outright champion in this event. However, Daniel Naroditsky was able to hold him into a draw in just 17 minutes in a Berlin variation of the Roy Lopez. So now we are going into a playoff between these two players that are separated by about more than 10 years. I think it's almost 20 years or 20 years. Uh, Alexander Onischuk represents a generation of chess players that of the batch of Gata Kamsky, I believe. And while Wesley is the generation wherein of chess players wherein they were born that they were already playing with the use of computers. This generation had been so active in their use and obtaining the assistance of computer softwares in order to assist them in their games, in their preparation, and other things related to chess. So this represents the likes of Magnus Carlsen, Sergei Karyakin, or Sergei Karyakin, how do you pronounce that? And Fabiano Caruana and others like Anish Giri. So actually, this is not just a clash between two players from the United States Chess Federation, but this is a clash of generations. So let's see who would emerge victorious between the two. So to put something into context, let's analyze the results of their previous games. So here are the we have they have already 5 games between them. I think these games are more of the standard chess and not really of blitz. So they played in the Spice Cup year 2010, and on the I think Wesley is still young here, still just 16 years old, and Onischuk got the better of him. The first game was a draw, and the second Onischuk won with white. However, 2015, 2016, 2017, Wesley is a clear favorite against Onischuk, judging by the games they have played. They have played at US Championship 2015, and Wesley won against Onischuk as white, and they have again met at 2016 US Chess Championship again. Is white at this point, and it was a draw. And here at 2017 US Chess Championship, Wesley was white again, and Wesley won this game. So maybe we can review the games of their game in this US Championship to gauge how they play against each other, how they Wesley won against Onischuk, and maybe would give us an idea what types of position Onischuk should avoid in playing against Wesley So here it is. Okay, let's enlarge this a bit. Okay, so this is an English opening. I don't know what round they have played this. This is just recent, since this is a game they have played during this past few days. So Wesley opened with knight f3 and d5 for Alexander, g3. So Wesley has gone into a somewhat rapport style opening here. Yeah, if I've gone b3, I would say that this is really like rapport play. So although you can still see that this is of the irregular type of variation, somewhat a rapport like game. What you can see in this game is in the last part, towards the end, that Wesley had forced the win. Wesley had been very accurate in conducting the game. It lies on a very thin thread between defeat and winning and losing, but Wesley handled them well. Even here, Wesley is giving up this knight, but of course there is a knight d5, which points at the bishop threatens the queen and the knight at e5. The black queen at d4 if the black queen takes this d4 knight, and the queen can go nowhere that would be able to protect the e5 knight. So this piece here is not really free. So let's proceed. Bishop c5 on his part. So what did Wesley move here? Protect it with rook fd1. So again, it cannot if even if it would be taken by the bishop and then recaptured by the rook and then knight d5, Wesley would be able to recover the lost piece, although it's an exchange sack here, which is quality down, what we call quality down in the exchange. But maybe Wesley has a very good plan here. If the queen goes to c5 and then he sacks the bishop, or he can go check first, or any type of play there. Could go rook a c1 first. So maybe Wesley saw something in this position, since it was not really taken by Onischuk. So it requires a super GM like them to fully calculate all those variations. So queen e7 by Onischuk and knight a4. So okay, an exchange sacrifice. No, it's not really a sacrifice. A somewhat a complicated exchange took place here in a little while. So you get this, and yeah, Wesley threatened the queen and the queen moved to c5, and then knight to a4, threatening the queen again. And here is the trick here on the part of Wesley. He goes to queen b5, intending to go to d3 either with the knight or the rook, and then knight c3, threatening the queen again, and queen c5 and knight a4 again, queen b5, and here an intermezzo. So the position is as if Onischuk is asking Wesley for a draw, but Wesley provided an intermezzo to avoid the draw. So here, Onischuk thought maybe that Wesley would move his queen, but no. He does an exchange sack here. That's it, yes. And Wesley is now up a piece, although the first exchange is quality upper black, since the rook took another rook. So that's it. Instead of taking the queen here, he threatens the rook with the bishop, so that since the queen is protected by the knight, and if the queen goes to the knight, then he can capture rook at d3. So queen takes b2, so they exchange queens. Okay, so if you're the white piece here, you would be thinking that it's not really good for white because you have double pawns and you have only one pawn on the queen side. But Wesley maybe have already thought of the compensation and uh, the resulting game here when wherein he would be able to attack the seventh rank of Onischuk. So that's it. He's attacking the bishop and protecting the e4 knight at the same time. Sorry, and protect the knight at d6, attack the bishop at b7, and at the same time protects the e4 pawn. So Alexander's bishop withdraw to a8, and then g5 for Wesley. So it seems that Wesley's position is very solid here. Okay, why did the rook move back? Because Wesley is threatening a back rank mate there, and if Onischuk or Alexander would just go h6, there still would be a check and capturing the bishop after the next move. So still Wesley proceeded with going to the 7th rank, taking control of the 7th rank, or this part of the rank of black, which is considered the 7th rank for algebraic notation. So here still the knight cannot be captured by the rook on d8 because of rook c8 checkmate. So it's still protected in a way. And rook e to d5, and knight takes f7, and then here maybe Alexander thought that he's a little bit winning here, but Wesley prepared a nice trick there, which is g6. If taken just as in the game, he would be able to obtain a very strong position for his knight at g5. Okay, so Onischuk proceeded with rook d1, and then knight takes e6. So Alexander here underestimated the power of the knight at e6, which would cover everything from g7, g6, even up to g5 if needed. So what happened here is Alexander allowed the check to happen, which is I don't think there is any really good defense there. So let's see what happened, and then check. Okay, the rook goes up to g6 at the same time protecting the knight at e6. So it's a very dangerous move here if you don't have a rook g6 maneuver, because the rook took on g7 with a check, but he's protected by a piece that is being attacked by the opponent. So this is the resulting position here. At this point, Onischuk resigned. So why did Onischuk resign at this point? Because if the only move here is king g6 for Alex, and then rook g7, and then of course black cannot go back to h8 because of rook e7 discovered check, and then white would be taking the rook at e8 and would be completely winning. So the only move here is king g7. If king g7, rook g7 check, again the king cannot go back, so the king would go to h6, which is the only move, and then bishop e3 since the rook is protected by the knight, and then first move is king h5, and then rook g5 check, and the only move is king h6. Rook goes to g8, discover check from the bishop on e3 for that variation, and then next move is for Wesley to take the black bishop at e8 and would be completely winning. So Alexander does not wait for that to happen. He just resigned this game. So it remains to be seen what would be the result in a few hours. I think it's less than 2 hours already. That we will be having the playoff between these two great players, and I'm so excited to seeing them play. And of course, I'm excited to in seeing Wesley So become the new U.S. chess champion for 2017. So this is my update and broadcast for now. Thanks for watching. See you on the actual game in the playoff. Thank you.